So I'm here with Peter Mills, who is running for the for governor of our great state of Maine. Myself being a maniac, he both being a maniac, born and raised. Yes, both. But it goes back before Maine was actually a state, 1820 Missouri Compromise. Peter, a lot of controversy. I'm not sure why, but there's a lot of controversy about the windmills and about alternative power. I mean, alternative power is, obviously, there's something we have to look at down the road. But it has been controversial, somewhat controversial. How's your stand on?
I guess I see controversies that other people aren't quite as concerned about. Once wind towers are built, my question is: are we going to get some of that power at a market price, or a price that is reduced to the New England market? We pay the same amount for electric power as they pay in Hartford, Connecticut, and Boston, Massachusetts. We're in the New England grid. That New England power market is one of the most expensive markets in North America. Maybe I think it's the priciest market in the United States. And Maine generates a surplus of power, even now, and stands to generate even more with wind power development. So my concern is that as we develop greater sources of supply, why not insist that some part of that supply be given to Maine people at a somewhat reduced rate?
Sure, and that New England grid, is that something we just decided as a state to go into?
We're in it in large measure because of reliability. You have to have, you have to be part of something bigger nowadays in order to make sure that the lights are always on. So there are reasons why we are in a New England market, but the adverse consequence of that is that we're paying New England prices, and we should be better favored than that. Right. We're only 8.5% of that market. Right. And it seems to me that if we're going to generate a lot more than 8% of New England's power, we should get a sliver of that power at least at a price that's reduced to the New England market. Second thing is, Hydro-Quebec, like them, love them or hate them, they are the dominant player. They are the dominant energy player in the northeastern quadrant of North America. Right. They are enormous, and they've got access to some pretty cheap power. So we need to make some deals with Hydro-Quebec. We need to go talk with them, and I think this governor is. If I were governor, I certainly would. And we need to say, all right, if you want access to that New England market, you've got to give us some cheaper power and some balancing power to our own generators, our wind generators, for example, so that we get some benefit out of the fact that they will be bringing that power down through our state.
Right, right. So where does most of our power come from right now?
Well, a lot of it is gas, natural gas, coming from Sable Island or from the Texas pipeline. We're at the end of that line. Right. We pay more for that gas than they do anywhere upstream, and so our prices are pretty much set by natural gas. Right. But we have hydro. And we have wood-fired power, but all of that power now is pretty much sold into the New England market. If we want some of it, we pay 10 cents a kilowatt hour for the generator in Boston and Hartford.
Doing some of that, those windmills offshore. I'm
a big fan of the University of Maine and its research opportunities, and I think that in time, if we get in on the ground floor of that, the amount of energy out there, as you know from sailing and as I do, having spent some time on destroyers in the North Atlantic in the winter, man, there's some wind out there, and it doesn't stop. No. I mean, it's 60% of the time. There's hardly ever a calm out there. So tapping some of that energy for the rest of New England and New York and all of northeastern North America would be, I think, something we should get in on. Sure, sure.
Now, as governor, as governor of the state of Maine, what would be the biggest change as you? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, that's great.
But as a governor, you're coming in. You want to be the governor. We all elect you. We think it. You're the best. You're the cat's meow. What's the biggest change?
Perfect question. Right. Perfect question. What people are missing now, in not only in Maine state government but in many other governmental settings, is there's an absence of transparent accountability in the delivery of public services. The hostility toward taxes, not only in Maine but in the United States, is generated by people's frustration at not knowing how their money is being spent and whether it's being spent on a worthwhile cause. Sure. For example, our prison system. We count the number of beds, and we make a big deal about how many prisoners there are in it at any given time. But what people ought to be interested in is, what's the recidivism rate? How many of those folks that we admitted to the prison system this past week had been there before? Right. How many of them are failures? Yeah. And what's your success rate? That's the kind of thing that needs to be measured and publicized and dealt with. Same is true for healthcare, for K through 12 education. What is the value that's being added in the classroom?
Right.
Not what are your current test scores, but how did Johnny come up from being a non-reader to a reader? How fast, how rapidly? What is the rate of growth of that child's development? We can measure these things. Thanks to computer science, we know how to measure these things that were very difficult to measure 20 years ago. And people are hungry for that information. Taxpayers are hungry for it.
Right.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's a huge frustration with taxes. I mean,
yes, there is.
It's huge. You look at it as a...
And people have a gut sense that there's something really wrong and they can't put their finger on it.
Even when you watch what just happened in Washington and you go, my God, we have no idea what... maybe I'm just not smart enough, but I look at all that health thing and I go, I have no idea if that's going to cost me money or not. Yeah. I have no idea.
Well, it will cost a lot.
Yeah. I'm getting the finger slap from over there.
You are?
Mike, so we're going to have to break for weather here for a second, then we're right back. And Peter, you can stay with me a little bit longer?
Sure.
We'll talk about sailboats or skiing or something. Great. Good enough. We'll be right back. I'll do the weather report, I might have to go to the weather office with Mike. Sure. That's great. Well, we've had Peter Mills here with us, who is a governor, running for the governor of the state of Maine.
That's right, in the
We're
Republican
happy to have
primary.
him, and he's born in Farmington, and he was gracious. I gave him an email to come up and talk about a few issues that we have here, and then a true Mainer. So give him a look-see. You can find your stuff on the webpage.
millsformaine.com. You can donate $5 to the Clean Elections System there,
yes.
Or you can donate to the campaign. Both.
Great.
We're taking both.
Great.
We need both.
Perfect.
And we're doing well on both.
Good, good. I'm so happy that you came in. Thanks so much for being with us.
Yep.
We'll be back in a minute, and I've got if you have